day one. 12.5 hours after leaving home, we were in the water. Decided we'd sail down Loch Screen from Taviouric, heading to the Cornets. Wind died, so we're motoring. But there are worse places to motor. There we go, look at that. Beautiful sunset. It's now 8 o'clock and it's beautiful. Heading across to Arlia Moor. I mean, we will actually spend the night. But it's absolutely glorious. How good is this? Probably just about to see the moon behind us, full moon. Hashtag view from my aft.
And it's 10:15.
First morning. John's got his stripy pyjamas on. Shame he's lost his silly hat. That's a bit of a shame. Never mind. But we're on Arlia Moor, which is part of the Cormac Islands little anchorage. There is a tiny breath of wind from the west. I looked at it today. But what a cracking place. You can make it, couldn't you?
You can make it there.
So this is the first proper day. We're just
Sorry?
very gentle little beat out of McCormack's. Going to take the couple of hours of ebb tide south, see where we get to. Bugger all wind really, but it's really very nice conditions. Well, lovely first sight, just in a minke whale surfacing about a quarter of a mile ahead of us. Came up twice, breathed and then dived, gone. We're going to head for Creis House. We've got about 2 hours of ebb and it's spring ebb, so it's flowing quite quickly. John's giving it a bit of motoring power. But yeah, we probably got about, the tide's going to take us down 3 or 4 miles I think before it turns, and then by then hopefully we'll be across the other side of the Sound of Jura and within striking distance of Creis House. Tiny bit of breeze now, change of plan because the breeze is coming in southerly and we got the kite up. We're heading vaguely for Carseg tonight, possibly. Interestingly, there's a, you probably won't whether you see it on the video, there's a fog bank off to the south of us that's gradually creeping forwards. Need to keep an eye on that.
You have to go to the left of that hole.
It's going to shoot us from right to left, isn't it?
Wow. Knew that was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Let's demonstrate. We're in Creis, little anchorage behind Goat Island. I'm not alone today, but
There's a video on how to make that on the Wayfarer website, in the video library.
is there?
Yeah.
It's there. Lovely shed. Sailing off an anchor, use the mainsail to point the boat where you want it to go. So I want the stern to go that way, I pull the boom this way. I think when you're ready. Rounded the point of Doris Moor, still a little bit ahead, so we've had to put the engine on. Wind's died. You can see the depth of water anyway, creeping up the edge. Very close. Now for the worst of the tide. Probably going to just chuck the anchor out in the little bay and wait for an hour for the tide to turn. But who cares? Look at the weather. And over there, that's the Gulf Corridor, west. Out the worst of the tide now, so engines off. Sails are up. Instead of stern. Still nicely close to the edge though, but just gently drifting up at about 1.5 to 2 knots I suppose, but we're in no hurry. But you can probably hear the sounds that there are of the gulls and full tummy. John managed to relax at last.
Fast stuff coming out.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
Christ, isn't there? Yeah, just going in it.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a little whirlpool. On your left is Eastdale Island, just going through the little sound in between there and the end of the island of Seal. Just coming around the corner, we're going to go in the little harbour and tie up and stretch our legs. Heading north from Eastdale and heading for Pool Doran for an anchorage overnight. Goose winged, tide with us. It's difficult to say whether you could get any better than this. Down from Tidal, came down under the bridge, heading for Creis, partly because there's the shower and the pub, most important after several days.
So Matt, where are we and what we're doing?
We suddenly got some wind and there was a yacht sailing when we were motoring, so I thought that's not good, and so we started off with a bit of Genoa and then up went the main, and it's Creis, it's about a mile ahead.
Straight down there. Brilliant.
What fantastic scenery, close reaching, lovely wind, perfection.
Shorts and t-shirt weather.
Shorts and t-shirt, yeah, and buoyancy aid obviously. Well, the cruise deserted me. Poor old John's had to go back, got other appointments. So single-handed for a couple of days, just left Creis. Tide's probably been ebbing now for about 3/4 of an hour, so I'm going to head south. A little gentle southwesterly today, so a little bit of a beat, but heading down to Loch Creigenish probably. First day that's not been bright sunshine, but it's still very pleasant, nice and gentle conditions for single-handing. So yeah. Boat's a bit lighter with only one person in it. That's Creis, just back there. But nice wind for full sail. Out in the true wind now, and it's actually got a bit of southeast in it, and I can just about make 210. Very light. Right, this is the situation. Wind is a little bit fickle. I'm making south down the Sound of Jura, and I'm anywhere between 200 and 240 with the wind shifts. I'm probably making about 2.5 knots at the moment, but I'll be very shortly. I'll be down in the pick up the ebb through the Gulf of Creis, reckon, and there's a fair bit of tide there, so I should make good progress. I haven't really decided where I could go. If the wind holds, I might go across to Jura and find an anchorage over there. If not, I may see if I can get down as far as Carseg. Cloudy today, a shame, but it's actually nice to get out the sun a bit. Inevitable. Just approaching Crinan, round the back of the island. Fancied getting down as far as Creis, but the wind's gone southerly and the tide's turned, so no point. So we're going to land for a bit and have a bit of a walk, and then head up Loch Creis. Nice walk at Crinan. Now we're off north, back up into Loch Creis. I think we'll spend the night. Sun's broken the cloud at last. Lovely little breeze from the sort of south-southwest. Really nice. There's Crinan behind us. See the Royal Crinan Hotel. Lovely stuff. And that's looking down the Sound of Jura. Thought I'd do a bit of a stern view for a change. That's where your smoked salmon sandwiches come from. Don't think there are any fish there at the moment though. Usually they're jumping. We are. This is Crinan down here, and we've sailed up here and we're now going just inside this island here. This is all Loch Creis up to Ardfern. This is Doris Moor that we came round this morning, and this is where we started, right up here at Haven. All the way down there, down to Crinan, and now back up there. We're going for an anchorage in this little bay here. There are a lot worse things to do than sit and listen to the sound of a jet boil on the west coast of Scotland. Beautiful clear skies, little gentle breeze, and magnificent views. This is Loch Creis, second time here, but beautiful little sheltered anchorage. Love it. Off again, just left the anchorage, just heading down Loch Creis, see if I can get through Doris Moor against the tide, then I can turn north, and got the wind behind us, which is nice. So in fact there's a bit of a foul tide, won't matter too much. Getting through Doris Moor is always a little bit difficult, pretty strong tides. What I'll do is I'll go pretty close, very close in round the point. Maybe have the engine on as well, gives it a bit of extra. Once I'm round and I can bear away, I should be okay. A little bit cloudy today. Forecast is lightish, southerly, southeasterly. Very pleasant though, warm. Just approaching the end of the peninsula that forms Loch Creis, and over to the left is this group of islands, and it's the gap in between that where the tide rushes past and is called Doris Moor. It's a quite famous tide race in this part of the world. But there's a nice little gap where I can get into before I get into the tide, and assess whether I actually need the engine or not. But here goes. Well, it's a beautiful big back eddy here. I can hear the tide rushing from west to east. Just south of me there's a yacht going through at the moment. Looks like it's going pretty fast. But I'm in a nice back eddy pushing me west. I've got one more point to get round before we're in the worst of the tide, but looking good. This is the last little point, so I'm just about to lose any benefit from the back eddy and come into the tide. It doesn't look too bad actually, and I've got the wind behind me, so that'll push me against the tide. But I'm going to go pretty close in anyway. Well, I'm round. Tide is flowing pretty quickly here, so I did start the engine in the end. I'm going to keep pretty close in. Well, I'm going to lose the wind behind the rocks a bit in a minute. I think wind's on the beam at the moment, and we're making 2 or 3 knots against the tide. Once I get past a little point up there, I can see the tide's easing. I can get down in some little bays and maybe pick up some little back edges. But it's flowing fairly well. Engine's off. And I can see the tide running, whether it'll show on the video, about 50 metres to port. But we're in a beautifully out the tide. There's another little lock that runs up here. And you can see in the distance a little point. See the rocky islands off. So I'm going to stay way in the entrance to the lock, out of the tide, and then pop round the point as before. I suspect there'll probably be a good back eddy there as well. So very much the strategy for sailing is that you need one or the other with you, either wind or tide. If you're beating against the tide, then it's very, very slow progress and it's hard work. So either wind with you or tide with you, and in this case I've got the wind pretty fair. It's on the beam, which is nice, so it's easy sailing, fast point of sailing. Time to relax now, out the worst of it. Wind ceased a little bit, but we're still making about 2 knots. We're heading for the southern tip of Lunga. As you can see, hold out, goose wind, making the most of the wind, which is almost dead astern. Good. Making 3.5 knots, 4 knots over the ground. Okay. Continuing north, up the Sound of Lewing. This is the west shore of Lewing. The windmills. Making really good progress, actually. Just going into Crinan Sound. Had to put the reef in, wind got up a bit. Still a pretty strong tide flowing through here, so it's a bit interesting tracking. And I had a very interesting time in the Sound of Lewing, dead downwind, which is a pretty strong tide against me. final video. Sad. Yeah, I'm going to recover the boat tomorrow morning early, so I'm heading back to Creis. But I'm really enjoying this last day sailing. Little breeze, just shaking the reef out, got full sail now.